statements before.
We haven't spoken about it. My name's Wayne Coe. I'm a community activist and a public figure in the village of Chatham. I ran for trustee in 2013 and would have been trustee all but for 12 votes to an excellent candidate, Jay Ripple. In May of this year, I ran for school board. I ran because I felt I could contribute to the school board. And when someone asked, why did you run for school board? I didn't have the pat answer, well, my kid's in the school. My answer was to tell the truth. On June 10th, I was maligned and interrupted by the Board of Education. They violated approximately a dozen of the school handbook rules. A true copy of the audio from that is posted on YouTube. Chatham School Board Handbook violations. Among them, be conscious of how your behavior in meetings affects the public and school staff. We had valedictorians, we had parents, many of which who have contacted me. Be respectful. Sarcasm shows a lack of respect. Be aware of the perception that the board is powerful. You guys are the Board of Education of a $30 million company. There is no question that you can instill fear in members of the community if you abuse that power. It is important not to abuse the power, in other words, with a condescending attitude. Address problems, not attack people. Not debate issues with members of the audience. Treat all with respect. Ensure only one person speaks at a time. Role model behavior is expected of students, staff, and community members. During this harangue, the word conspiracy was used. It was not my word, it was the board's word. It was used to malign me. I didn't say it, I didn't think it, I haven't written it, and I repudiate it. And it goes on. You guys can read your handbook. I'm sure you're capable. On June 12th, the Courier reported this. Only a fraction. And a concerned parent wrote in and said, you violated the handbook, you've abused Mr. Coe, you owe him an apology. The response of the superintendent of schools was to draft a defamatory email. This first draft showed up on June 14th from emails I've obtained through FOIL, the Freedom of Information Act. These are posted on chatham-ny-watchdogs.com. All of the emails that I've obtained, including those from Ms. Lindbergh, Ms. Spock, Mr. Clark, Ms. Faxon, Ms. Day, Mr. Titino, and others, are posted unexpurgated. Defamation in New York State is to write untrue statements about a person, to impugn their character, and to try to prevent other people from associating with them. At this time, I would like Ms. Nuciforo to read the 2 paragraphs that concern me that she drafted. This is public record. Anyone can read it. and many, many people have. And I'm sure that she must have thought it was absolutely true, or she wouldn't have written it for the Board of Education to sign and send out. Ms. Nuciforo, I yield to you for the moment.
No, this is my meeting. I'm not having
Great.
you have Mrs. Nuciforo read it.
She wrote it. You didn't write it, Melanie.
I'm not reading it.
What?
I said, we're not reading it.
Why aren't you reading it? It's surely true. Why aren't you reading
Oh
it?
my gosh, I'm not reading it, Wayne. We've read it. We've dealt with it. I'm not reading it.
It's public
and
record.
You're not reading it.
You set it out. Is it true or is it not true?
Wayne, I am not going to
You're
sit
not
here
going to
and
answer.
argue with you. This
Mr.
is
Clark,
public
you were a
comment.
signatory to this.
Excuse me, Wayne.
Is it true or is it not true?
Excuse me, wait, Mike, you're not, please do not speak.
I'm not.
Please do not speak.
I was waiting for him to finish. So we could say.
On June 16th, this was sent out by Melanie Spock to this concerned parent. The concerned parent shared this email with the press and with myself. The press made inquiry about the defamatory nature of it, that it was untrue, and any reasonable person reading this can only see one purpose for having sent it, and that was to impugn my character. I tell the truth. We all make mistakes. I can be less accurate. When I find more accurate things, I'll bring them up. But it's ridiculous. To me, this email is a portrait of the drafter. It is not a portrait of Mr. Coe. The press made inquiries to the Board of Education, and taxpayers should be aware that the Board of Education, in defending themselves, began to engage Donald E. Budman, their attorney, to look over these emails because I had foiled to get them. So we're spending taxpayer dollars defending the Board of Education against this offensive action. And that was July 8th, according to the emails I have. On July 24th, in response to my foils, I got the early drafts of the email by Ms. Nuciforo. They included the name of Mr. Charbonneau. Mr. Charbonneau, can you tell me if you contributed editorial assistance to the email?
Adam, you know not to talk. Thanks.
BOCES is protecting Mr. Charbonneau, as is the superintendent, and not allowing his contribution to this email. There were draft changes between Mrs. Nuciforo's draft, none that involved the defamation, and the draft that Melanie Spock sent out. I believe in truth and reconciliation. I'd like to see the people responsible for this own up. I'd like to see them print the letter in its entirety, sans the name of the person it was sent to, with a total repudiation of the contents of that letter. I know it will probably be a chilly day in the underworld before that happens, but that would be a satisfactory apology to me. Beyond that, in my opinion, and in the opinion of an attorney I've talked to, this is a defamatory action and it is illegal. I got 360 votes in my first run for school board. That is 20% more than Melanie Spock, 10% more than lifetime resident Craig Simmons, and 10% more than Muriel Faxon. I love Chatham. And any of my actions, the only thing in the email mentioned is that I disagreed with your plans. 668 voters defeated the blight. I was only one of them. My actions were exemplary. I did cartoons. I decorated my house as the abandoned middle school. I went door to door and chatted with people. They were the actions of a creative activist, and I have nothing at all to be ashamed of or concerned about or to apologize for. And I could not have been effective at all had I not been armed with the one thing that the Board of Education appears to have lacked, and that was the truth. All of the power of the handful of activist parents who got involved in trying to stop first the vote for consolidation, because it didn't involve the community, and also tried to stop the bond. All they had was the truth. Thanks.
Anybody else tonight? Okay, we're gonna move on.
We've had a couple of discussions about public comment at board meetings. Different boards do it in different ways. Starting with those who absolutely don't allow it, but it is not required to those who have different policies. Guidelines on what's not allowable or not would get you cut off, as I said. Not appropriate for public comment. Time limits. I know I said that specifically, but I know some districts put a time limit. Oh, actually, you did. Time limit. And it's usually between 3 to 5 minutes per individual. Some districts put a total time limit on it. So time limit is both individual and total. And the other thing was, I think in some districts, they ask people to sign a sheet when they come in if they plan to make a public comment. It's not that you can't do anything, it's just that way you have a written record of who is going to make comments.
Well, I would suggest some things that you could include is, like under the public comment points, delineate someplace what kind of things are likely to get you cut off while you're speaking. Defamatory comments, blatant lies, things like that. I think it would be helpful if that was laid out someplace that, public comment, obviously, there has to be some kind of parameters. Like when you post an announcement at every school board meeting, maybe put a link to it there. It might be beneficial for people to see the rules of engagement before they get here.
This one hasn't been revised since 2000, that's a long time. This is just one suggestion that they made. You could have that in written form only so that we would be up to speed when someone was presenting something. Sometimes when something comes out of your side, you're really not right there ready to hear it. Besides length of time and how things are submitted and what's allowed to be said.